Hello and welcome back to my small little library. Today's video is gonna be my October wrap-up. I'm filming this on the 31st of October, so on Halloween. Happy Halloween to everyone who celebrates it. And yeah, I'm really happy with my reading this month. I managed to finish all of the books on my TBR except for one, which that is way better than all of the last month. So I'm quite happy with that. Yeah, also I did a few extra audiobooks which I listened to in the evening. And yeah, so I think I've read 11 books, which for me is really great. And I bought 11 books as well. So at least my TBR didn't get any bigger this month, but yeah. Probably should buy less books, let's be honest. Let's start with 2 books from a series I've read, and that is Endymion and The Rise of Endymion. These are books 3 and 4 in the Hyperion series, and I finished the series with them, which I'm very happy about, and also kind of sad that the series is now finished. And I can't believe I finished the series in 3 months. One of the fastest I've read a whole series. I mean, there were 4 books. That is quite the great pacing for me. Yeah, Endymion, I gave, let's make it easy. I gave both of them 5 stars. I loved them both. These two, I can't really tell you much about the story because they're obviously part 3 and part 4, so if you haven't read the ones before, I would spoil you things. Both of these are less action-packed than the first 2 books, which for me was absolutely fine. Mainly the characters are on a journey to, they kind of have to escape and travel a lot, and so you get a lot of travel descriptions and stuff, but you do still have a little bit of space battles and different perspectives in both books. You have the perspectives of the good guys and the bad guys. Yeah, a lot of different viewpoints and stuff, which I find to be really nice. Things are explained in those 2 books that I'm quite happy about. Because for one, I kind of thought maybe the author wouldn't explain everything that has happened, and the whole thing is based on a prophecy, the whole series of a prophecy of a girl that is going to bring down the bad ones, if you want. And with prophecies you have a lot of vague stuff, and a lot of the stuff was explained. Not everything 100%, but I don't really care in that detail. I just want the major points to be explained, and that was just fine. I liked the ending. It was a sad ending, to be honest, but a good ending. I might have cried a little bit about a sci-fi space opera book, which might tell you something about my emotional state, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't know if I would reread the series just because all of the books are massive. The Endymion has roughly 600 pages, and Rise of Endymion has 720 pages, so they're really big books. The first 2 as well, so I don't think it's a series I'm going to go back for. But if you want to read a really nice classic space opera sci-fi action series, go for it, I would say. I really enjoyed all 4 of them. They have all 5 stars for me. Then I've read A Room for the Dead by Noel Hind. This one is a detective ghost story merging together pretty much, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. There are a lot of things that don't necessarily make the most sense, but I really didn't care for it because the mystery is there. I don't believe in supernatural stuff, but I thought it was quite nicely done. And yeah, the detective was a nice main character. He has a little bit of like an PTSD, alcohol problem, stuff like that, so he's also quite a realistic character, I think. And yeah, really enjoyed it. Never heard of it before getting it in like a random book box, and so I'm really happy that I actually enjoyed it. I probably will not go out and look for more of the author, because I do think that it was a nice book for in between, but like nothing I would seek out especially. Then the next book I read was Buzzkill. This is like a new horror book that came out last month, I think, or the month before. Like quite the new book, and also quite the short book. Yeah, this is pretty much like one of those splatter films in like a book with a lot of body horror. You have wasps that get on a plane and to America, and they grow the bigger their host is, and so they use humans as hosts, and yeah, they grow ever bigger and bigger, and they are a threat to society. And so you have a team of scientists who try to find a solution to them, and you also have like a team of convicts and then ex-convicts who try to hunt down the wasps and help save humans and stuff. And I really liked the book. Gave it 4 stars. It's over the top a lot of the time. It's really action-packed, and yeah, the love story didn't have to be in there for me, which is why I gave it 4 stars. I don't know why authors have to do this, but yeah, obviously the main character has to fall in love somewhere along the story, which is a female biologist who is specialized in wasps and stuff like that. So I don't know if she's a biologist or if there's a... there might be like a specialization for wasps and stuff, but I don't know, yeah. Whatever. Yeah, don't know. Yeah, love story, totally unnecessary. The rest is wonderfully over the top. Would also be great as a movie, to be honest. Like one of those trash movies that are really good, you know? That aren't like really great productions that you can see they are low budget, but the action is just great and the body horror is great, so would love to see a movie about this. In all honesty, I will look for more of his books, just because I read that they are also in the same range as this one, with like body horror and animals that we often see as pests. So yeah, you can look forward to a little bit more of the author, which is Jeff Jacobson, if I haven't mentioned it yet. And then I've read The Last Hero. I'm gonna put the cover here. It's the next book that was in the Terry Pratchett reading order. This one is about Conan the Barbarian and Rincewind. And to be honest, I love Rincewind. He's just the perfect wizard character who doesn't have a clue and is always in the middle of the adventure and doesn't want to be there. So yeah, love his character. And the Conan and his group are really old by now, and so they want to go on one last adventure, which is to go and kill the gods. And Rincewind tries to stop them. And yeah, I love the book. 4 stars. It was really funny. Yeah, just old people as like these really aggressive, always wanting to fight, really great. Yeah, as I said, I love Rincewind, can't get me wrong with this one, and yeah, it was a really short book, and I think it's more on like more like for children than the rest of his books, just because the ebook version I've read had like pictures and stuff. It was like fully illustrated and colorful, so yeah, I don't know, but I really enjoyed it. It's also under 200 pages, so if you want to read a short book, it's a great one. Then I read Godzilla, World of Monsters, which is like a collection of 3 different Godzilla graphic novels. I gave it 3 stars. To be honest, for me, all 3 were far too similar, even though I think they are in like a timeline, but yeah, the story couldn't really. I liked the first one, the second and the third I didn't really need, to be honest, but also I'm not the biggest fan of Godzilla, so yeah, I just started it in my whilst on the airport traveling back from vacation, and yeah, just like one of those, let me pick this up and read it. Yeah, like the art style was nice, as I said, first story good, second and third kind of unnecessary, and so 3 stars overall for it. Then the next 2 books are 2 Stephen King books, because I've actually managed to read Pet Sematary and I loved it. I'm just, you know, if it takes me so long to get through a book and then I finally get through it, and it's a great book, like that makes me feel really, really good. So yeah, if you want more of an in-depth review of this one, I did make a video about it, and yeah, you can watch it on my channel. I don't know how I can link stuff in the video, but I will try to link it somewhere if I can. But yeah, I gave it 5 stars. For me, it wasn't like the most, like the horror was there, but not like the main focus. For me, the main focus was more on like the family connections and grief and how you deal with sadness and loved ones dying, and yeah, like a really fucked up way of dealing with it, the book and the horror stuff. So yeah, but yeah, great book. Kind of sad I didn't read it before, but I can understand that my 12 or 13-year-old self maybe wasn't mature enough to really read. Sorry, had to make space for my doggy here. Yeah, I just don't think that I was mature enough to understand the book correctly, and so I'm kind of happy that I've read it now and that I'm a lot older, and yeah, loved it. Why did the cat have to die? I don't know. Kind of sad for the cat, to be honest. Yeah, and then the next Stephen King book was also 5 stars for me, so yeah, sorry. I am really into Stephen King, to be honest. And that is Fairy Tale, which is like this really massive book. I thought it was horror. It isn't. It's much more of like a dark fantasy or twisted fantasy book, and yeah, I really enjoyed the whole theme of like, you have the 17-year-old main character, Charlie, and he just helps his neighbor, and because of that he stumbles into this fairy tale world where everything is going wrong, and he just tries to help. That is all he wants to do, and yeah, it's a fairy tale from there, really, really dark, with a lot of death in there, and it is a dark, I mean, it's a creepy story. Overall, like there was some aspects of it where I was like, really? But yeah, it's not a horror book, so don't expect a horror book when you read it. Like, just accept kind of like a lot of twisted fairy tales, and I mean, the name is program here, right? But yeah, 5 stars, as I've said. I know this will not be for everyone, especially if you kind of like expect like your typical Stephen King book, but if you read it, it is definitely Stephen King. Like, you can see through the story and the writing style that is a Stephen King book. It's just the fairy tale fantasy route is something I don't think he does often, and so it's a little bit unexpected for a lot of people. My mother-in-law, for example, stopped reading it because it just wasn't hers with fairy tale stuff. So yeah, I would recommend it, but only if you like fantasy and fairy tale stuff. Otherwise, if you are more like a fan of the horror stuff of Stephen King, or like the detective mystery stuff, I probably wouldn't pick this one up, especially since it's so big. It will take you some time to get through, and I don't think it's necessarily worth it if you don't enjoy fantasy stuff. My dog is really trying to push me off this chair. No idea what I did to him today. Yeah. Then I listened, I'm gonna put the cover here again, to The Adventure of the Sussex Vampire and Other Stories by Arthur Conan Doyle. These are Sherlock Holmes adventures. I gave them 3 stars. To be honest, I wasn't impressed by them. I've read better Sherlock Holmes. Like, this isn't the first time I've read Sherlock Holmes. These were more like supernatural stories with like normal explanations. I mean, it's Sherlock Holmes. But yeah, somehow these were so short, like really, really short, that there wasn't really much story in there, and so I kind of found them lacking. But I do enjoy the writing style and enjoy the character. So yeah, 3 stars. Really couldn't give it 2 stars. I wanted to, but I like Sherlock Holmes too much to give it 2 stars, to be honest. I do plan on reading like the whole collection. I do only own like one of these really small novels with Sherlock Holmes in them. So I do plan on some point buying the whole collection and reading through it. And maybe then I can give you like a better picture. But yeah, there were 3 stories, and one of them was with like, oh, the woman is a vampire and she isn't, and yeah, stuff like that. Kinda not that fitting, somehow, yeah. Then I've read or listened to another Terry Pratchett book, which was really, really disappointing. It's called Truckers. It's about the gnomes, which do feature in the Discworld series, so they're also there, but this one is, for some reason, plays out in a department store. And the gnomes, you have this group of gnomes who get like, they're traveling gnomes and they search for a new place to live and find food, and they go into the store and find the gnomes that live there that think that there isn't anything else than the store. But then the store gets closed and the gnomes need to flee because it gets destroyed. Like they're gonna demolish the building. And yeah, for me, the humor wasn't there. I read Terry Pratchett books for his unique humor a lot of the time. I do also enjoy a lot of the characters, but yeah, this one, it's obviously for children. It's made up to be more for children. The jokes were really, really flat. You had a lot of like, oh, there's a sale sign over like stuff, and so sale is like the bad god, and if you go to sale you get dumped in the trash at some point or stuff like that. And yeah, the gnomes are just like really living in their own world in there, and yeah, the humor was totally not for me in this one. The characters were really, really dumb, to be honest. I didn't enjoy any of them, and so yeah, I gave it 2 stars. Kinda disappointed. Glad it wasn't a long book, to be honest, yeah. And then the last book, which I'm really, really happy that I've read it, is A Clown in a Cornfield, which this was the biggest surprise of the month. As I've told you in my TBR video, I've bought this last year, wanted to read it for Halloween last year. Didn't get through it because I had problems with the beginning. I had those problems again this year, but I did in the end read it in one day, which can tell you how I changed my mind about the book. I gave it 4 stars. The stars as more like a little bit of like a teeny book, and then it turns into a slasher. Like full-on slasher mode. It was great. Yeah, you have a new girl in the new city. Her dad bought the clinic from the last doctor who disappeared kinda fast, and so he bought like this completely furnished practice with a house. And yeah, moves there because the mother died, which you later learn is of an overdose, but yeah, she dies. and then the daughter falls in with the wrong crowd. Like pretty much the adults don't like the teens. There was the death of one girl, and her father didn't really cope with it, and her brother also didn't cope with it, but kind of like felt guilty that she died because there was a party and she just jumped into like this water hole and she hit her head on like some concrete and died because of that. But there is actually a clown there. There's more than one clown if you want to know. But loved the slasher part. It was the biggest part of the book, which for me was great. It really saved the book, and it just was so fun to read, to be honest. Like, there was a lot of moments where I was like, oh my god, it's really gory at points. It tells you all how it is. It doesn't hold back, and I really enjoyed it. And I'm so glad that I did, because I was so afraid that I wouldn't like it, just because of the beginning. And so reading it and finding out that it's actually a great book, so great. And I'm really sad I didn't read it last year, to be honest. I wish I had just powered through the beginning. I struggle with like teeny relationships and like the hot girl syndrome that you have a lot of the time in those teeny books. And I mean, the main character is like 15, 16, 17, like at that point she's in high school. And like switching schools into the semester and stuff, just can't really deal with it. So I'm glad that it's just a small portion of the book and the bigger portion is the slasher. The whole story was great. Like, you have to read it to see what happens. I don't want to spoil it. You know what? Maybe I should do a review video of that book next, instead of the Hyperion series, because it's kind of fitting at the moment, right? I'm gonna do that. And let's just say then I can talk about it with like a spoiler warning in front of it and can tell you all about the story, because I'm just really happy about it. But yeah, these were the books I read in October, and I'm really happy about it. The only book I didn't get through was Six of Crows. Kind of sad that I didn't get through it again. I don't know when I will, to be honest. It's not on my TBR for November. I won't read it that month. But yeah, hopefully I will get to it in December. I should have a lot more reading time in December. Depends on what my work is saying. But I have a lot of overtime that I need to take off. And so if I'm lucky, I have December completely off, and then I have a lot more time to read, so I'm hoping to read Six of Crows then. I need someone to hold me accountable for that. It's really bad. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please leave your opinions about the books down below, or maybe also some recommendations for similar books, for the ones that I really did like. And like the video, subscribe if you want to help grow this community. And I hope you had a great Halloween, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye bye!